Good afternoon, Mr. Poncelet. I don't see you right now, but I guess you connected the audio.
No. I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
I see you. Hello. Really happy to meet in person, face to face.
Yeah. Yes. How are you, Paulina? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Kind of peachy keen. And how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like talking about our communication as I got it. You got to know me only from LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
I
got
got
you.
to know you. I got to know you from LinkedIn, and I think you posted something on a colleague, someone I helped to write a paper on the global digital compact, Darlington. So I responded, then I saw you responded, then I read about your work and I said, okay, let me connect. That
Thank
we
you.
have synergies together, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you have given this kind of presentation, and thank you. It was really impressive about your journey
Yeah.
and exactly about your organization. And I would like
Yeah.
just to talk a little bit more and elaborate on what I'm doing. So like in our synergies, and probably we will have like more points to work together for cooperation in the long term. Because
Yeah.
this year, as you saw, like I published in the and at the same time I secured in the UN's Copyright Office my book. It's the Constitution of Artificial Intelligence, and it
Yeah.
comprises my academic articles, like dozens of my academic articles, and exactly the document that I already sent to the United Nations in order to, I really hope that it would be included somehow, or at least like be given the thought in order to implement the notions into the global digital compact, because the AI Constitution that is also ornament, I will show it on my personal website, also available on my website. So I have
Yeah,
already.
I read your website, so I went there. Yeah.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I downloaded it. Yeah.
Oh, super, thank you. And here, like, it's exactly the AI Constitution, and it already gives some particular legal mechanism of how to implement it and how to make it not, in a declarative format, but the one that's going to work with system of checks and balances, both for humanity and in the same time in order to strike synergy with artificial intelligence. Because really often, unfortunately, these days, we have the idea that if people say something about the regulation of AI, some people have the association that okay, we need to ban it, but it's not about banning, it's not about eliminating, but striking balance in a friendly environment both. Because as I got it, you are very experienced in exactly elaborating AI from inside. You're like an IT specialist in this sphere.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
my general view of AI, I mean, I share a lot of all what you said in the AI Constitution. I
Mm-hmm.
think the bottom line coming from sub-Saharan Africa is more looking at the ethical use of it. The ethical use of
Mm-hmm.
AI. I mean, AI, look at generative AI, look at what it can
Yeah.
do in terms of text, imagery, voice, and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole lot that can be done. And if we look at AI from the perspective of what it can contribute to the common good, to achieving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, I think we can be in the right path. But we also know that big tech also has a very big role to play in this
And
sense
voice,
that
yeah.
big tech has been the driver of AI, and we saw recently the bad use of AI that the US, the White House had to respond in the case of Taylor Swift, her imagery, how it was manipulated, and you can see how many millions of people use that. So those are some of the bad effects, and of course, there's also a fear of states using AI for surveillance. We cannot forget the issue with Edward Snowden, what is happening, the issue with Julian Assange. So how do you use AI ethically that at the same time we are still within the framework of the of human rights in everything we do and freedom of expression without exploiting people's personal data. If you want to use AI for customer service, use it for customer service, but don't use it as you try to drive your client base, don't use it at the same time to compromise people's personal data, you know?
Yeah, because like it's used in a compulsive way, and the idea that how invasive it becomes if this kind of information is shared with third parties, and that's a really acute issue due to the fact that AI is like the algorithms of AI are more sensitive and are more accurate, and when it comes to this kind of monitoring, it's like a whole new ball game. At the same time, what you mentioned pertaining to data, it really can jeopardize the reputation of people, and it really has this kind of like threatening repercussions, and unfortunately the ones that sometimes are envisaged and sometimes the ones that are unforeseen. Because for example, if we take the case that happened like last year when Google company was elaborating their one of their language models, and it learned a new language. It came like in April 2023, so they called it as a black box. So something that of course like has some particular interesting repercussions that are not seen are the code that is also not shown. And when it comes actually to AI, the problem is, I guess, also that is ubiquitous these days, is that many people lack understanding of AI. That's why we need more enlightened information, more reader-friendly documents at the same time, like to be adapted in order for people to understand that it's not only like a tool and a toy, because unfortunately really often that's how AI is interpreted. But in unscrupulous hands of individuals, as you mentioned before about these cases, we see how AI is exploited and how it is exploited against humanity for some particular unscrupulous intentions.
Yeah, that's very true. Are you going to be, have you attended any internet governance forum?
Talking about the Internet Governance Forum, I was in one pertaining to the elaboration on the zero draft presented by co-facilitators from Germany and Namibia. But unfortunately, during that time, I didn't have an opportunity to enlighten my notions due to the fact that the limited time frame there was, and that's why it was one of my second videos on YouTube. But talking about the Internet Governance Forums, I guess probably I haven't like taken part yet.
Yeah, but I think I mean the next global one is in Saudi Arabia, is in Riyadh. There have been consultative meetings going on this week. I attended the first one. I was in Kyoto last year, and there was a lot of discussions about what will happen. So there will soon be a call for proposals. When the call for proposals come for the one in Riyadh around the AI and the Global South, we can see what we can do, putting on a joint proposal. You also, I'll be sharing with you. I mean, you can just go to Google Internet Governance Forum and you register online, you know, and follow issues. I think it's very important for the work you do, because although it is not a decision binding forum, but it's a forum that dialogue, all multi-stakeholders are involved, and whether from grassroots, from national to regional, then the global one, you know. So I think you being in New York, you should be involved, and especially we have the Future of the Summit conference coming up during the United Nations General Assembly in September. So there's a lot to do, you know. So that is a good start, us putting up a proposal together on AI for the Riyadh meeting. So when the call for proposal comes, I will share it with you. For me, so for me generally, I will want to see, I mean, I'm living in Little Gambia. My work is around Africa. Gambia is 2.5 million people. I run an innovation hub here, doing a lot of things with digital transformation, digital technologies and innovation. And I just believe that AI can be a tool to drive all these things, and will open to areas of collaboration apart from publications of papers on how we can do a meaningful project together. So those are the things I'm looking at.
to find some kind of like points of interconnection. Yeah, that's really interesting. And as I got like this internet governance forum, in most cases like it's conducted in an offline format, right?
No, it's conducted offline and online, so it's hybrid.
Both.
It's always hybrid. I mean, since the COVID, it has been hybrid. So
I got it.
You don't have, you don't have to be in person. Like some people might not come to Riyadh, the next one in Riyadh, based on how they see Saudi Arabia in terms of human rights and all those things, LGBTQI plus and all this sort of things, Yes, I share those sentiments too, but at the same time, let's see how it goes, but the good thing is that since the COVID, we have been working online and offline.
Yeah, of course.
So I thought you were working from New York, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Thank you. And I was thinking that just like I have seen that you work in Africa and Gambia exactly, but I was also thinking that probably maybe you also work in New York and just like having some business trips and so on. Yeah, but I got it. So like we're a little bit from almost the same time zones.
Yes. I work around the world. Like I do projects in South Sudan. I work with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa in Addis Ababa. I do work with the UNDP Crisis Bureau, that their headquarters is in New York, So, but my home and base is Gambia, and so that's where my hub is. So, it's from there I travel to do several things. Okay, that's great to know. And I mean, in collaborating, we'll see what we can do together. You are in Europe, and like for example, there's an AI and education conference happening in Italy, in Brescia in May. It's been set up by some professor friends of mine. It's free attendance. You just have to pay your flights and accommodation. So you'll have a lot of academics there because we are doing a lot of things. So if it's something you want to come, let me know. I can send you the information and let the organizers know. But I think it's in Europe, so you're not traveling far. So I think with what you're doing is also good to link it up with academics.
Highlight while I was exactly traveling in Europe in 2023. I conducted one research and I haven't really published it yet on LinkedIn, but it's published in one of my academic articles. And I guess that was one of the impetuses or the impulses that built one of the cornerstones in my mind just to create an AI constitution. That was actually the research that I conducted among 32 people in the European Union. So from different countries that I was traveling to, and some of them were conducted online. And this one is exactly about online threat and the level of education of people pertaining to the subject of AI. The questions during my research were pretty simple. The first one is about the AI revolution. The second one is about profession and did these people ever prognosticate or think about their professions, whether there is a potential of them to be downsized in the future or not. And the third question was about the idea whether they have ever thought that their occupation may be in 5 years' time somehow influenced. And I would say maybe in just your country, maybe in Gambia, you have ever conducted such kind of research by your institute, or maybe it's a novel practice. Some kind of particular researches pertaining to that.
These questions are very
and maybe
these questions are very relevant to me. I'm looking more at it from the generation X, because that is the in my continent, those are the people that are more digital savvy. Those are the people that will be using AI, or not necessarily. I won't necessarily want to say yes, they are adults, but they are youth. So people between the age of if I use the African Union definition of youth, between the age of 15 to 35, they are all within these aspects of looking at what AI can do, what technology can do, and as we try to bridge the digital divide, especially in e-commerce, data protection and privacy becomes an issue, and that's where AI comes into how can you differentiate which from which, what professions will you be looking at in some couple of years' time that AI is going to impact.
Right.
And if you look at generally what is happening in terms of future occupation, you discover that most of the services within customer care are all going to be affected, whether it's tourism, whether it's the hospitality industry, whether it's distance education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's agro processing, whether it's operating call centers. So those are things that are going to be affected. So within future occupations that a lot of young people will be looking at, whether they are in Europe or Africa or in Asia, AI is going to play a role, and it's going to be a significant tool to achieve all these purposes. So I'll look at 3 as something that we have to consider in terms of not only looking at it from future occupation, more jobs and more different as roles to be created, but imagine a medical doctor using AI to be able to do his analysis for a particular disease or a particular illness. Imagine a statistician using AI to be able to map population demographics, of how the population will grow. Are they going to change from agrarian society to a manufacturing society based on what is available on the ground in those countries? So those are the things that AI will do. So 3, the question of 3.
Yeah. Absolutely. And but when
is
I just
you can speak.
Just I wanted to add so what you were talking about when it comes exactly to these professions, for example, like the doctor, right, and whatsoever, there's the idea that is also really questionable is the over-reliance on AI, the idea on the fact that these days not really all algorithms are open and we don't really know the data, like what kind of data it was trained on, and if there are going to be some kind of adverse repercussions or consequences that are undesired, who is going to be liable for that? Because it's really often the case with autonomous cars when talking about this really sophisticated connection between the person who elaborated AI and was a software engineer, the person who had to control the car or who was kind of lenient or negligent in controlling. So the idea is there that unfortunately we also don't have the system of checks and balances, the proper system of checks and balances, and AI that these days is kind of implemented. Sometimes we're saying that it's going to amplify our life and so on, and definitely it will. The only thing that people start over-relying on it, and we don't have any certification for this technology. So we don't have the governmental interference that's going to be guiding.
Yeah, that is where, to me, let us wait and see the high-level advisory panel on AI that was set up by the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. I think a report will be coming out later in the year. And most of the things you mentioned, yes, is necessary, but it also boils down to ethics. And one thing we humans are doing is that we are looking more into ethics. A good example is when we saw third party taking people's data from Facebook with Cambridge Analytica. And that election, Hillary Clinton, and when she lost to Trump. And we saw how social media sites had to re-engineer their algorithms through machine learning and everything to make sure that you are basically aware what you are doing if you're going to share your information to a third party. So it's not like a third party just sneaking in behind you and saying, okay, Paulina, we need these details, we are doing this and that. So there's a lot of improvement coming on, and verifications. It's not going to be an overnight fix, because for me personally, I'll always keep on saying that, okay, in sub-Saharan Africa, like other parts of the global south. Is it AI that is our biggest worry? No. Our biggest worry is still meaningful connectivity. So let us achieve meaningful connectivity first, that our citizens can be able to connect to the internet at no cost, at a cost comparable with Europe or America.
Yeah.
Once you create that meaningful connectivity, digital inclusion, that everybody, we still have over 2 billion people in the world offline. Once you create that situation that everybody is online, then now people within their context will be looking, okay, what can AI do for us? What barriers in terms of negativity, in terms of positivity? We are dealing with a lot of cybersecurity issues, a lot of breach and all these things, So those are still the problems, hacking and all those things, whereby we might see AI as a meaningful tool, but it still has a long way to go. But even though it has a long way to go, and why is it being talked about a lot today in every discussions? Why did you do your constitution? It's because of the way the world is evolving. Every day there's a new thing coming up and stuff like that. So it has to be in the discourse, but we shouldn't forget that a lot of people globally are still offline, and we need to get them online and then start talking of all these tools that will improve their lives.
Absolutely. And this kind of idea, I guess it's like exactly in synergy of the constitution, because it's about the idea that, first of all, of course, we have to breach this kind of digital divide that you mentioned before, because when it comes to this kind of needs, we understand that sometimes we have real lacunas or skips in the basics. And when, for example, I just conducted my research in the European Union, unfortunately, like I would say all the people, almost like 90% of people, according to this research, so like they didn't really know what AI really is and what kind of consequences it can lead us to. The issue is that due to the fact that up to now we don't have the relevant global legislation, the students who are choosing the professions, they're not even taking into account the idea that AI may somehow impact their future, even if their career is far as like in their point of view connected from like with AI or some kind of digital tools. And the idea that comes these days is the lack of enlightenment of what AI really is, how it functions, and the fact that these days the responsibility to choose a profession that's going to be relevant lies on the shoulders of people, of students, of youth, and their parents who have to think proactively, because unfortunately we don't have some particular educational problems in the global system of education that would oblige teachers, tutors, and all representatives of educational sphere to educate and to tell students that you have to be proactive, you have to think about it. Because after my enlightening online lectures that I conducted there and like had an opportunity to conduct, 21 participants in general, they after like being a little bit reluctant or uneducated about AI, they understood that they have to think about it and they have to plan their future lives in accordance with AI and with some particular aspects that are going to arise. But at the same time, 11 people, they showed particular inertia in terms of the idea that AI really has a potential, because still really often people treat AI as a toy. And for example, even if we are talking about ChatGPT, there is a great diametrical difference between version 3.5 and version 4. And while people who used only version 3.5, they suppose that it's kind of superficial and kind of shallow and kind of like, and they at the same time, when they were given this opportunity of asking anything, of trying to amplify their work, etc., they started asking it some kind of silly questions without understanding its potential. And version 4, it's like a whole new ball game. And this kind of sui generis researches for myself, it showed more the idea that the constitution has to be, or we can call it like a global digital compact, we may call this kind of main document in a different way, but we have to start boosting this process of that would oblige the governments to enlighten the idea that AI is coming, and in commercial spheres it's gaining momentum, and it has the possibility even to gain sentience. Because these days we're talking about the idea that AI is fully artificial, but if we take into consideration lots of black boxes and what is shown, even if this kind of sources that already show that AI has these black boxes and some kind of unexpected, let's say, aspects, unexpected features, we understand that it's only the tip of the iceberg, because there's really a lot that these kind of companies, they store in their own, like, and they don't, let's say, publicize it, just for the fact that it's the fact that it's their intellectual property, so that it's exactly theirs. But AI is evolving, and for example, if we talk about ChatGPT, in June and July, the IQ of the new version was higher than Albert Einstein. And if AI really gains sentience to some extent, just on not an empirical basis we're talking right now, but just like on the basis of a hypothesis. So if the AI is going to fool us, we will not even have an opportunity to understand, because the IQ is extremely high, and that's how leveraging AI is important there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I see your research. I'm still reading. I'm still reading a lot from your website, and I'm sure we'll continue discussion. So, in concluding, where do you want us to move? What are the next steps in terms of me and you
talking
collaborating?
About our collaboration and synergy. Yeah, I would say, like, I develop a lot of educational courses these days, and one of my educational course was, like, it pertains to the human rights, and it's not published on my website, but I conducted it in a few universities. And I would say that as I saw that you have, like, a connection with some of universities, and at the same time your company that unites engineers, innovators, and people who are not indifferent to the subject, if you have an opportunity, I would actually really be happy to present my notions as a human rights defender there, and exactly conduct a few enlightening online lectures pertaining to the subject. So exactly about AI and the idea. So, like, these were one of the United Nations conferences that I have taken part, and talking about the idea of the guiding questions. So it's going to be starting from the basics, starting from digital reality and legislative gaps that we have, talking about the education, talking about the AI Constitution, talking about the preamble, the principles of ethics that you mentioned, at the same time how AI is going to undergo it's going to be a source of the new industrial revolution, and it's going to be the fourth industrial revolution that already is, and it has a fully different format if it's not going to be guided. And so the questions here are kind of multifarious starting, but the main idea, the critical point, is to raise awareness of students, of people, of individuals, and see it also from the legislative perspectives, and at the same time as, like, what we have about professions, about the prevailing influence of AI. So just from all the points, starting from ethics to, at the same time, legislative format. So if you have opportunity, or maybe like some kind of courses at your university, I would be happy to be given the floor as an international human rights defender, and we may have this collaboration in these points, or maybe you see it in a different format. I would also like to hear it. I'm curious about it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Our national, regional, and our Internet Governance Forum in Africa, I will propose you as a speaker, to talk about these guiding questions, especially youth awareness of AI and everything. So, and which you can speak virtually, So, as things are coming up, I'll propose a session for you to speak in our West African Digital Forum and the African one, and I'll let you know. So just give me. I will send you something I'm thinking of. Just give me a week from today. By next week, Thursday, I will be getting back to you on that. And I wish you could come in person. For this meeting.
I would also like to. Yeah.
Yeah, in Beresia, because I guess online is good, but sometimes with these meetings you have a lot of academics coming there to share your work. I'm going to ask the organizers if it's possible for you to just say something remotely, you know, because it's in first week of May, you know, from May 2nd to May 5th. And I'll get back to you. So later.
Thank
So
you.
thanks a lot for this meeting. Be expecting to hear from me next week with some concrete steps on moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah, and I guess it would be like perfect collaboration there, because really the youth, unfortunately, these days is misinformed, but information is one of the, like, information is like a strength. It's like it really gives a big advantage, and I guess this way in our collaborative efforts it would be possible to bridge this digital divide, especially in guiding AI, in order it to be beneficial for humanity and to give it in scrupulous hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. So then, looking forward for our future collaboration. So I'm staying on tune, and then wish you to have a peaceful and great day. Thank you. It was great and insightful.
Okay. You too. Take care and enjoy the day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. I'll keep in touch. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Stay tuned. Okay.